My name is David Fiso. I'm the owner of Big D Barbecue Catering. I've had some requests to do some videos, so today I'm going to do some ribs, show you how I do my ribs. This is a great way. There's tons of variations. You can do ribs so many different ways, but these are going to be some basic concepts that you can use in order to get some great flavor, get some great texture, and just have a good product. I spent years kind of perfecting this method. It's based off of several other methods that I've seen as I've taken barbecue classes, watched other YouTube videos, things like that. So you'll probably recognize a few things, and that's great. So that's the beautiful thing about barbecue. You can learn from everybody and go from there. So we're gonna be doing some spare ribs today. I have a couple racks that we're gonna do. I have my smoker. I'm cooking today on a YS 640 from Yoder. It's a pellet smoker running pecan pellets, and we are going to be smoking today at 275 degrees. Okay, so I like to do my ribs a little hotter than some of my other meats, so I run my ribs at 275 degrees. Let me show you how we get things prepped, and then we'll get them on the smoker. All right, so the first thing you want to do when you get these ribs is you're going to want to get rid of this membrane on the back here. Now, just to kind of give you an idea here, none of this section right here has any membrane. Okay, you're going to have a meaty part, and then you're going to have the part that has a membrane. There's typically two membranes on here, okay? You don't want to remove both. You only want to remove one of these. So, easiest way to do this is just to take a butter knife, and you want to come up near one of the bones, and you just kind of want to try and pop that membrane up. Now, here's one of the best things I ever learned from one of the barbecue classes I took is about these two membranes. So, as you're doing this, okay, as we get this exposed, if you get down to bare bone, okay, then you've gone too far, okay? So right here, I don't know, you probably can't see this on the camera very well, but there's a little bit of a membrane here on the bone and what I've pulled up. Now, easy thing to do is just grab a paper towel. That's gonna give you something to grip on, and you're gonna be able to just pull this membrane right off, okay? And we got a little bit more. We're gonna just come grab it again and just pull it straight off, okay? So one thing that I like to do with my ribs always is to trim my ribs up. So one thing I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna slide this over onto my tin foil right here. I'm gonna bring my ribs over. And I like to take and find a bone, kind of just a little bit in. This thin part here on the end is just gonna get overcooked. It's not gonna be great. So I like to come in, find a bone, and come just on the side of it and square my ribs off, okay? If you don't wanna waste this, go ahead and cook it, it's fine. Personally, I just like the look and kind of the way it turns out when you square things up. I also like to square off the opposite side, and I usually just go one bone in, and I try to get as close to that bone as possible and go straight down so that I have the bone on here, and then we got lots of meat, okay, on this side. Just to square it up, here you're gonna see there's a ton of fat. Fat's great for flavor, but all of this really isn't gonna be that great. I would have probably trimmed a little bit anyway. We're just gonna throw that away. And so then what we're left with is this nice square rack of ribs, okay? All right, now that we've got that done, we're gonna prep these ribs. Now, if you see stuff like this, I wanna go ahead and just trim some of those little things off because those are just gonna burn up. They're not gonna be great, okay? You don't want these little stragglers. You can spend all day trimming just little pieces and things. I just kind of do it just here and there as I spot little things that I just know are just not gonna cook or are gonna cook too much, okay? So you don't have to spend a lot of time doing that. Now, there's a lot of ways to prep your ribs. You can just hit them with rub right now. A lot of people do that. Some people like to use a binder. I kind of varied up. Today, I'm gonna use mustard as a binder. Now, I like mustard as a binder because it does help the rub stick to it. If it gives it any flavor, you've got a little bit of that vinegar flavor, which is great on ribs. We're just gonna throw some here on the back side. And I'm gonna I've got my clean hand on the mustard, and I've got my gloved hand that I'm gonna rub it in with, okay? I'm gonna do that on both sides here. Now, you're just doing a little light coat. Doesn't need to be real thick. And again, if you don't wanna use mustard, you don't have to. I've done plenty of racks of ribs with no mustard, and it's been just fine. Now, today I'm gonna be using two different barbecue rubs to season these. This one is called The Barbecue Rub from Killer Hogs. This is one of my favorites. I really like it. It's one that I just recently picked up. Malcolm Reed. Actually, I got a lot of tips from his YouTube channel, How to Barbecue Right. And so if you check him out, you'll see a lot of really good content on there. But this is his signature rub. Now I'm gonna hit this fairly heavy. I don't wanna hit it like super heavy, but I wanna get good coverage all over these ribs with this. This is gonna help provide great color and great flavor on your ribs. Okay. Now once I've got that, I'm gonna come through with a really light coat of what's called OBQ's Sweet and Heat, okay? This is a great flavor. This is something that I really like. You kind of have to go light on it though. It has a little bit of heat, not too much, but you gotta go a little bit light on it. There's a lot of sugar in it, and so you can kind of caramelize and burn a little bit, but we're gonna try not to do that. Now, I'm not gonna rub, but I am gonna pat down the rub, okay? Just really lightly, all through it, to kind of help that rub stick on there. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let these ribs sit for about 5 minutes, just like this, in the rub, while what's gonna happen is the ribs are gonna start to sweat, okay? So as the salt and things in this rub start to pull the moisture out of the ribs, it's gonna start to look tacky or wet. And as that happens, then I'll know I'm ready to flip to the other side and season the other side. I'll have much better coverage, and the rub will stick better if I wait for that time. So we'll be back. All right, now we're ready to do the top side. We're gonna do the exact same thing. Okay. So we're gonna let these sit again 5 to 10 minutes, and then we will throw them on the smoker. All right, so we're here out at the smoker. We're gonna open it up. All right, we've got a nice, good, clean grate here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take these ribs now, and I like to kind of place them on an angle here. And what I like to do, which is a tip I got, was to kind of push them together, kind of squish them together like this. Hopefully you can see that. What I find that does is it will kind of straighten the bones out a little bit. And basically, the way that you set these, okay, so if you push them together or you pull them apart, they're gonna cook that way, okay? So by getting them in a little bit of a squish together here, what you're gonna do is you're gonna get more meat in between those bones. You're gonna cook them a little bit more compact, but you get that kind of higher meat profile. So we're gonna throw these on here just like this, close it up. The pit is running at 275 degrees. So we will go ahead and leave those on there for 2.5 hours about. All right, so we've got the ribs here. We've got some tin foil. We threw some of that same rub that we used before, just down kind of in a rough pattern. The ribs went on the smoker originally, meat side up. This time, we're gonna throw these bad boys right here, meat side down. Now, I'm gonna kind of fold up my tin foil just a little bit, okay? Because what I've got here in this pot is a mixture of brown sugar. So it's a 1/2 cup of brown sugar, 1 stick of butter, and 1/2 cup of honey, some of the rub, and some hot sauce. Again, that's gonna, run around to the front side of these as they're wrapped. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap them tight, one over, up on the end, up on the other end, okay? That's how I wrap mine. I like to wrap them nice and tight. We get this nice little tight package here. We're gonna go ahead and throw these back on the smoker now. They're gonna stay on the smoker for about an hour, and then we're gonna start checking. They've been in the wrap here for about an hour and 20 minutes or so. I personally like to take a toothpick and stick it in between the bones in a few spots, and I'm looking for no resistance. And that's how I know that they're gonna be done. So let's go ahead and open these up. Now, what I like to do, is I put a cooling rack inside of a cookie sheet here. And we're gonna go ahead and get sauce on the back side. Now, I always recommend you heat up your barbecue sauce because you're just gonna get a much better result when you do that. I have a slicing knife here, and I'm actually gonna use it to kind of help me maneuver these so that I don't kind of lose them. But we're gonna bring them over here and place them right down there. Now you can see how beautiful those are. Now this sauce I'm using here is kind of my own blend of some brown sugar, some butter, some hot sauce, and then one of my favorite store-bought sauces, which is Blues Hog. This is a great starter for a lot of people who, want to kind of start playing with their own flavors. But I'm just going to go ahead and coat them all over. And really what you want to do is get a nice even layer. And I'm going to come back and hit it with a little bit more of this barbecue rub. Just a little light coat this time. Not super heavy. Now, I can carry this right back out to the smoker. Throw it on just like this on the cookie sheet. Makes it really easy to transfer. We're going to let it sit in the smoker for probably about 15 minutes or so, just so that we can get that glaze to set. So we're going to go ahead and cut these. Let's go right in the middle here and cut one of these out. So let's see if you can see this here. Just look at how much moisture there is in these ribs. And then of course, you know, we gotta give them a bite and see how they taste. So what you can see is exactly what we're going to do. They pulled away from the bone clean, but these aren't falling off the bone. They're just the perfect texture, perfect consistency where when you take a bite, you get the meat, but you don't lose, it doesn't, you know, turn into a big giant mess. Flavor spot on. That's a good rib.